I'm Azaria Tagaya and this is Nightline. Here are the top stories. PM tells IRB to be more firm in collecting taxes. And Hadi Awang being probed over Islam sanctity statement, says IGP. Good morning. The Inland Revenue Board IRB should carry out tax collection duties with greater firmness regardless of the position of any company or the individual's status. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said this is because some giant corporations and renowned entities in the country had refused to pay tax. Speaking at the 2024 IRB Day in Cyberjaya on Friday, the Prime Minister stressed that the status of certain companies and individuals is not a ticket for them to evade their tax obligations.
Lebih tegas, ya. Kerana kita tidak boleh bagi gambaran yang atas paling maha kaya itu terselamat daripada tindakan. Mesti ada kesungguhan dan keberanian, saudara. Tidak kira kaitannya, kedudukannya, seperti saya selalu sebut, saudara bertugas menjalankan tanggungjawab. Apakah dia Ahmad atau Aseng, atau Tansri, atau Tun, saudara tidak kira. Saudara hanya kira dia bayar cukai atau tidak. Kalau tak bayar cukai, geledah dan ambil tindakan.
Anwar also said the number of companies paying taxes is still low, with only 435,000 of them, or 29% who have paid their taxes, out of 1.5 million registered companies. Meanwhile, the IRB had set a new record in tax collection last year of 183 billion ringgit, an increase of 7.8 billion ringgit, or 4.49% compared to the previous year. In another development, the Prime Minister said the Social Security Organisation SOCSO and the Human Resources Ministry has been given 1 month to develop a new upskilling training module in order to produce more competent workers. Anwar also stressed that a strategic enhancement of workers' skill set would enable the country to compete in a more sophisticated job market, especially in areas with high demand from industry players.
Cadangan khusus perkeso dan KSU diangkat kepada menteri supaya dapat dimaklumkan kepada saya dan jemaah menteri. Berapa lama? 1 bulan. 1 bulan keputusan yang dibuat, cadangan bagaimana boleh kita adakan kejutan baru dalam bentuk latihan, termasuk apa yang dimaksudkan upskilling, jauh lebih hebat daripada apa yang kita lakukan sebelum ini.
He said the rapid technological changes pose a challenging issue that is difficult to address if the country is still restrained by outdated training modules for the workers. In this context, Anwar said SOCSO needs to do away with meaningless fancy terms and instead make comprehensive changes in formulating the upskilling training module by introducing new instruments, even if it requires an overhaul of the existing skills training system. The Prime Minister said this when launching the ministry's My Future Jobs Career Carnival and the 2024 Employment Support Scheme initiative in Shah Alam on Friday. Also present were Selangor Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Amiruddin Syari and Human Resources Minister Stephen Sim Chee Kiong. Police have opened an investigation paper on past President Tansri Abdul Hadi Awang's statement published on the party's news portal recently, which alleged to have hit out at several parties, including the Malay rulers. Inspector General of Police Tansri Razaruddin Hussein said the investigation is being conducted under Section 4, Subsection 1 of the Sedition Act and the Communications and Multimedia Act. According to Razaruddin, the investigation paper was opened following several police reports received on the matter. However, police have yet to record Hadi's statement, as it has been reported that he is currently unwell. On Thursday, Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah expressed displeasure at Hadi's statement, which was directed to religious scholars, lawyers, judges, members of parliament, state legislative assemblies and the Malay rulers. The Sultan of Selangor stated that Hadi's cynical statement was very inappropriate and uncivilized from the point of view of Malay culture, which is all about respecting and maintaining good manners when voicing one's opinion and advice towards the Malay rulers. The ruler added that Hadi's statement was not only confusing, but could also also create uneasiness, which could ultimately lead to disunity among Muslims, especially among the Malays. In the meantime, all quarters, especially political leaders, have been reminded not to use religion as a tool to achieve political goals. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said that matters related to Islam, Islamic law and fatwa should be off limits when expressing views and opinions on any subject.
Tetapi jika masalah-masalah hukum sebagaimana yang terdapat dalam Quran, hadis, qiyas dan ijma' ulama', saya tidak perlu menasihatkan mana-mana pemimpin parti yang ada latar belakang agama untuk mengikut landasan itu, tetapi jangan gunakan agama sebagai tunggangan untuk mencapai hasrat politik.
The Deputy Prime Minister was speaking to the media after launching the Federal Territories Islamic Religious Department or Jawi Mobile Surau 2.0 in Putrajaya on Friday. Elaborating further, Zahid said he appreciated the Sultan's decree, which can be deemed as a warning, not just to the public, but also to political leaders to not do the same. Some 600,000 undocumented foreign workers can voluntarily return to their home country through the Migrant repatriation program. Under this program, Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the illegals will only be compounded and spared from prosecution.
Tujuannya kita nak benarkan pendatang asing tanpa izin ini balik ke negara asal secara sukarela. Kenapa mereka ada di sini? Mereka terlebih tinggal. Kenapa mereka ada di sini? Mereka salah guna pas. Kenapa mereka ada di sini? Mereka tak ada dokumen sama sekali. Ini semua kesalahan-kesalahan yang boleh berakhir mereka dipenjarakan.
The compounds are 500 ringgit each for those who had entered Malaysia without valid passes and had overstayed, while those who had flouted the conditions of their passes will have to pay 300 ringgit. So far, 848 illegal foreigners had registered themselves for the program, which ends on December 31st. The program is under the supervision of the Immigration Department and does not involve any third party.
Small enterprises, big dreams. How to shape small businesses into pioneers of change and adaptability in the modern landscape. How to propel small businesses into a dynamic era of resilience. Small Businesses Reimagined with SME veteran Dr. Michael Kang and economist Professor Jeffrey Williams this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
The timber industry is expected to recover this year following better growth projections of the US economy, the main destination for Malaysia's furniture exports. Plantation Industries and Commodities Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said the industry's performance has declined over the past 2 years, but the government is committed to supporting its growth.
Small, medium enterprise.
In his speech at the Malaysia International Furniture Fair, Johari said the timber and furniture industry was not insulated from the effects of global headwinds, with furniture exports dropping by 18% last year.
22-23, they dropped sikit because I think US economy. But I think 2024 we're quite confident. I think the furniture industry punya export will grow back to the original position. As you know, I think it's a 20 over billion industry. Kita sebagai kerajaan, kita akan pastikan bahawa ekspor-ekspor kita yang keluar daripada negara kita ni mesti mengikut piawaian yang bersesuaian dengan apa yang dikendaki oleh dunia.
He added the Malaysian furniture industry is largely export-oriented, with 44% of timber exports shipped to 186 countries over the past 5 years. The government has also spent almost 1 billion ringgit for the Forest Plantation Development Programme and provided soft loans for replanting projects.
We give soft loan to 88 syarikat untuk menanam semula kita punya hutan, which estimated about 142,000 hectares. 75,000 di Semenanjung, and then Sabah 37,000 hektar, and then Sarawak 30,000 hektar. So basically that's our commitment. Kita nak make sure the while industry ni grow, dan kita juga kena melihat bagaimana kerajaan main peranan untuk galakkan kita punya timber industry ni continue sustainable.
He also stressed that the government will continue to ensure that industry players are able to comply with international standards, as the world is now concerned about deforestation. The government has decided to reinstate the cabotage exemption for foreign vessels carrying out undersea cable repairs. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the move is important to attract more foreign investments and stimulate the growth of the digital economy. Loke said the decision to reinstate the exemption was made during a cabinet meeting held on Thursday following extensive discussions with key industry stakeholders.
Keputusan ini adalah susulan daripada pelbagai sesi libat urus dengan syarikat-syarikat gergasi teknologi maklumat antarabangsa dalam tempoh beberapa bulan yang lalu oleh pelbagai kementerian dan agensi termasuk Kementerian Pengangkutan, BT dan sebagainya. Ini membuktikan bahawa kerajaan madani mengamalkan dasar mesra Prabowo.
He also said that the effective date for the exemption will be announced later, adding that it is expected to take effect within 2 months. Malaysia introduced the cabotage policy to promote and develop a strong national ship-owning industry, as well as reducing the country's dependence on foreign vessels and the outflow of foreign exchange in the form of freight payments. To a question, Loke said all local and foreign vessels conducting cargo services in Malaysian waters must apply for domestic shipping licenses for reasons of national security. He explained shipping companies can now apply for the license online and it will be processed within 3 days. A 28-year-old woman nearly died when the car she was driving crashed into the wall of a car park on the first floor, then plunged to the ground floor in Jalan P. Ramlee in Kuala Lumpur on Friday. The Honda Accord turned turtle on the ground floor, but the driver survived with injuries to the head and knees. 2 fire engines, an emergency medical rescue services vehicle and 15 personnel from the Kuala Lumpur Fire and Rescue Department were deployed to the scene. Upon arrival, firefighters found the car overturned with its roof smashed in. It is understood that during the incident, the car being driven by the woman had crashed into the barrier wall on the first floor of the car park before plummeting onto the pavement below. Firefighters freed the woman from the wreckage and she was taken to Kuala Lumpur Hospital to receive medical attention. The actual cause of the incident is still under investigation. At least 46 people killed in Bangladesh fire. News from the Foreign Front when we return.
Small enterprises, big dreams. How to shape small businesses into pioneers of change and adaptability in the modern landscape. How to propel small businesses into a dynamic era of resilience. Small Businesses Reimagined with SME veteran Dr. Michael Kang and economist Professor Jeffrey Williams this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Mereka hanya ada 7 hari untuk menyempurnakannya.
Are you with me? Let's bring it in! Come on! Let's do it!
Mengubah mimpi menjadi realiti dalam satu misi membina semula rumah yang baru.
Beautiful village we're making.
Got the custom Thailand cabinets going in right now. Love it! Looking good!
Extreme Makeover Home Edition setiap Sabtu 12.30 hari. Stream sekarang di Tonton dan di TV3.
On to the foreign front. Pressure mounted on the Zionist regime on Friday over the deaths of Palestinians queuing for aid in an incident during which its soldiers fired at the crowd, with several countries backing a UN call for inquiry. France and Germany have backed a call for an international inquiry, while the US has also urged a thorough investigation, saying the incident shows the need for expanded humanitarian aid to make its way into Gaza. Meanwhile, Turkey has joined Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan and China in condemning the Zionist regime for allegedly firing on Palestinians. This came as the Palestinian Health Ministry increased the death toll of the aid convoy incident to at least 112. At least 46 people have been killed and dozens others were injured after a fire blazed through a 7-story building in an upmarket neighborhood in the Bangladeshi capital of Dhaka. According to fire authorities, a gas leak or a stove could have caused Thursday's blaze in the capital, which spread quickly after breaking out in a biryani restaurant. The blaze was only reined in following 2 hours of efforts by 13 units of firefighters. Doctors said most of the dead were killed by suffocation, with others dying as they jumped off the building, which also houses some clothing and mobile telephone shops. Another 22 people were being treated for severe burns and were in critical condition. The government, in the meantime, has set up a 5-member panel to investigate the incident. South Korean police raided the offices of the Korean Medical Association KMA on Friday as the government contends with a doctor's strike that has led to chaos in hospitals. The Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency sent investigators to several offices, including that of the Emergency Committee of the KMA and the Seoul Medical Association, to secure relevant information from the mobile phones and computers of the officials. According to figures released by the Health Ministry, only 565 doctors resumed work by the deadline. The raid came as the government had set a Thursday deadline for medics to resume work or face potential legal consequences, including suspension of medical licenses and arrest. Russian opposition politician Alexei Navalny, who died in an Arctic prison under mysterious circumstances, was laid to rest in a cemetery in Moscow on Friday. Thousands of people turned out to pay their respects at the cemetery and outside the Soothe My Sorrows church in southeast Moscow, where Orthodox priests had held a short funeral service before the body was taken to the cemetery. Although riot police set up barricades at both the church and cemetery, no detentions were reported. The services came after 2 weeks of battling between Navalny's family and Russian authorities, who delayed the release of his body as they allegedly tried to blackmail Navalny's mother, Lyudmila Navalnaya, to hold a private funeral without any farewell ceremonies. Sporting Lisbon take 1-goal advantage to second leg. Sports after this breather.
Small enterprises, big dreams. How to shape small businesses into pioneers of change and adaptability in the modern landscape. How to propel small businesses into a dynamic era of resilience. Small Businesses Reimagined with SME veteran Dato' Michael Kang and economist Professor Jeffrey Williams this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Semenjak dari lahir, dia memang cacat dari lahir dan dia memang cacat kategori ketidakupayaan. Kalau tak bertongkat, tu dia merangkak sajalah ataupun merayap tu kan, guna tangan. Rumah saya yang sekarang saya diam ini akan diambil alih dengan keadaan abang dengan mak lagi dah makin uzur. Kita fikirlah kita nak duduk kat mana lepas ni.
We're back now with sports, taking a look at tennis and the ATP Mexico Open. 6th seed Casper Ruud came from 1 set down to beat Ben Shelton to reach the semi-finals in Acapulco. Ruud did not enjoy a good start as he lost the first set 6-7. The Norwegian, however, regained his touch and claimed the next 2 sets 6-4, 6-4. Ruud will face Denmark's Holger Rune for a place in the final. On to football now. The Portuguese Cup, Sporting Lisbon beat city rivals Benfica 2-1 in a dramatic semi-finals first leg tie. Sporting took an early lead after Pedro Gonçalves headed in a cross from Morten Hillman after just 9 minutes. The hosts had to wait till 6 minutes before the hour mark to extend their lead when Victor Gyökeres collected a through ball from Jenny Catamo and outpaced Nicolas Otamendi to score in the 54th minute. Benfica halved the deficit in the 69th minute with Fredrik Auschnes turning in a cross from Angel Di Maria. Benfica thought they had equalised 3 minutes later, but they were left frustrated when a VAR review prompted the referee to rule out Di Maria's goal for an offside. The sides meet in the return leg on Wednesday, April 3rd. Turning to Formula One and the 2024 Bahrain Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton raised hopes of Mercedes taking the Formula One fight to Red Bull and Max Verstappen at the Sakir circuit after finishing fastest in practice. Hamilton led a Mercedes 1-2 with fellow Briton George Russell under the lights of the Sakir circuit, with Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso third and the Ferrari of his Spanish compatriot Carlos Sainz fourth. The seven-time world champion, who has not won a race for 2 years, had a best lap of 1 minute and 30.374 seconds, 0.206 quicker than Russell, with Alonso 0.286 seconds off the pace. Three-time world champion Verstappen finished sixth, nearly half a second back. Verstappen had been regarded as the heavy favourite heading into Saturday's season opener in the Gulf Kingdom, but the Dutch driver was unhappy with the handling of his car in the first running and then failed to match the speed of the Mercedes drivers later in the day. Up next, fatal shooting of policeman, 65-year-old man remanded. Stay with us.
Small enterprises, big dreams. How to shape small businesses into pioneers of change and adaptability in the modern landscape. How to propel small businesses into a dynamic era of resilience. Small Businesses Reimagined with SME veteran Dr. Michael Kang and economist Professor Jeffrey Williams this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Jangan guna jari untuk korek telinga, jangan taruh apa-apa benda dalam telinga.
Telinga sering berdesing, pendengaran kurang jelas.
Sekiranya ia adalah ringkas, cukup hanya kami memberikan cucian.
Jangan risau, jangkitan telinga boleh dirawat tanpa pembedahan. Jangkitan telinga, diskusinya di Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Small enterprises, big dreams. How to shape small businesses into pioneers of change and adaptability in the modern landscape. How to propel small businesses into a dynamic era of resilience. Small Businesses Reimagined with SME veteran Dr. Michael Kang and economist Professor Jeffrey Williams this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Thanks for staying with us on Nightline. Police have obtained a 6-day remand order against a 65-year-old man detained in connection with the fatal shooting of a special branch policeman during an operation near the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve on Thursday. The Sungai Petani Magistrates Court granted the remand application beginning Friday. Earlier, a police van from the Sikh District Police Headquarters transporting the suspect was spotted entering the Sungai Petani Courts complex at about 11:45 a.m. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Nur Fazlina Musa. Sikh District Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Abdul Razak Osman confirmed that police have obtained the remand order against the suspect for further investigation. It was reported the suspect was detained upon turning himself into the police at about 2 p.m. on Thursday. According to Razak, the 39-year-old 16-year-old victim entered the Ulu Muda Forest Reserve on Tuesday, together with a team from the State and Sikh Police Headquarters Special Branch, along with State Forestry Department personnel and aided by civilians. They had entered the area to investigate reports of trespassing and illegal hunting. They spent the night in the forest reserve before the victim and 2 civilians were believed to have lost their way in the darkness. At around 2 a.m, a gunshot was heard and the victim was brought back to compartment 103 at around 5 a.m. and was taken to Sikh Hospital before being confirmed dead at the hospital. The case is being investigated under Section 304 of the Penal Code. The Court of Appeal has upheld the conviction against former Trono Assemblyman Paul Yong for raping his Indonesian domestic helper 5 years ago. However, his 13-year jail sentence has been reduced to 8 years, while the penalty of 2 lashes remains. In a majority 2-1 decision, the appellate court ruled that Yong's appeal did not hold merit as the trial judge made the correct judgment in convicting him. Justice Dato' Hadaria Said Ismail, who chaired the panel, together with Justice Dato' Azman Abdullah, formed the majority, while Justice Dato' S.M. Komati Supia held the dissenting position. On July 27, 2022, the Ipoh High Court found Yong guilty of raping his 23-year-old Indonesian maid in a room at his house in the city on July 7, 2019. Judge Dato' Abdul Wahab Muhammad found Yong guilty and that the prosecution had proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. He was sentenced to 13 years jail and 2 strokes of the rotan. The 54-year-old Yong had been given a stay of execution pending his appeal. A company owner has been remanded for 5 days to assist investigations for allegedly making false claims amounting to over 1 million ringgit. The suspect, a man in his 50s, is believed to have committed the act through several invoices containing false details 2 years ago. He made claims to a foundation in Selangor for the supply of products to registered participants under a scheme. The supply services, however, were not carried out by the suspect's company. The case is being investigated under Section 18 of the MACC Act. As we wrap up this edition of Nightline, let's take a look at a painter who elevates his craft by incorporating a distinct Cuban essence, tobacco leaves, into his artwork. The 63-year-old artist lays wet tobacco leaves atop his sketches of famous Cuban-related personalities, from revolutionary icon Che Guevara to U.S. literary great Ernest Hemingway. With that, I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thanks for watching. See you next time.